nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we are thankful for this day, and we're thankful for the board to be able to meet, and we ask Thee to have the Spirit to be with them, to help guide them in what is best for the county, and to help all the proceedings go well today. And say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. Well, welcome aboard, Chris. Do you prefer Chris or Christina? Chris, okay. Welcome aboard. Okay, we have a technical difficulty. Are we okay now? Okay. How are we doing? Okay. I think we have everything in order now. So let's go ahead and start with item 2, presentations. 2A, presentation regarding Freeport, McMoran, Copper, and Gold's contribution toward the Gila County Michelson Building roof repair. Mr. Menlove.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to acknowledge our participation, our partnership with several within the community for what is bound to be a promising and very fulfilling project to help out Gila County and the community that we live in. We have here with us today representatives from the City of Globe and from our corporate partners, Freeport McMoran and Resolution. This is a project that has been ongoing for a number of years, as you well know. Sometimes we get involved with partnerships of a corporate nature, and with federal dollars, these projects take a long time to get through and get all the funding arranged and working through. So we thank these individuals for sticking with us and sticking with this project. First of all, I would like to acknowledge Freeport McMoran for the participation and that they did with Gila County and the City of Globe in replacing the roof for the Michelson building in downtown Globe. I remember coming here as a finance director for Navajo County, coming probably 15 to 20 years ago, and went to the Michelson building. It was a time when the Workforce Investment Act, people were there, came to Globe with Gila County to work on partnering with the Workforce Investment Act people. And I remember going on a rainy day and there were buckets all over the building 20 years ago. And so it's been desperately needed for a long, long time. The Freeport McMoran has a community investment fund panel that they contribute and partner with the community annually. And this is a tremendous opportunity for those in the community to be able to put forward projects of a nature that will benefit and bless. They help out schools and a number of different things throughout the years. So back in 2019, there was an application to Freeport McMoran Community Investment Fund, went through the process, and Freeport donated $150,000. If I could get those from Freeport, if you want to come up and you can be recognized. Now the project was completely, the roof was completely removed. Engineering was done to ensure that it was, I don't know how much you know about the building, but there was, it didn't span the entire width of the building. The trusses did not. And so there was, the roof had started to actually cave in because there were support beams and they'd taken things out and put things in, just would not. So the roof was re-engineered, completely span it. It's engineered to hold the mechanical for the building, and it's dry now. So when it rains and moisture comes, it's dry building. So I'd like to send appreciation to Freeport McMoran for the $150,000 that they donated to this project to further that. And we'll give you guys an opportunity to say a few words.
Thank you, James. And we're happy, our Community Investment Committee, as James shared, was happy to support that project back in 2019. And on behalf of Freeport Macaron Foundation, we're pleased to see it move forward.
Thank you very much.
This Community Investment Committee.
Yeah, so it's a lot of good vision in the project, I believe. Hope it gets stood up and live soon, but the work and the diligence of the members on the committee and the recommendations, I see the value in it. And anything that stands up, these incubator things, these small businesses and things, and helps them get off the ground, I think is a wonderful investment. It's hard to measure the benefits down the road from it, but we all know it's there. It's just how do you get the tangibles out of it. But we appreciate the cooperation and the partnership, and look to many more down the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, and it's Robin and Chad. Thank you. Is there any more, James, on that?
Just a little bit.
Okay.
Talk about that. Hope it comes to fruition. That's kind of why we're having this recognition today, and a agenda item a little bit later of giving what the funding is. There's much more funding that's coming available to be able to do this project, and so that is a good reason to celebrate the success that we've had, or we're getting to on a business incubator and support for small businesses in the southern portion of Gila County, and to acknowledge where we've gotten to thus far, and to plan of where we're headed, and that this will come online and be a support to the community. So we'll want to take pictures. So if we could go through the next acknowledgement.
Sure. Let me ask if the other supervisors have anything they'd like to add. So Supervisor Humphrey, would you?
No, I don't have anything to add other than I think it's a great building in downtown Globe, and I think the restoration of it and what it'll be used for, it is great for the community, as well as even the mine community can use it for meetings and things as we go forward. So I think it's a great, worthwhile project, and appreciate the help very much.
Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chad, Robin, thanks for everything you guys do. Not only for this building, but also everything you do in the community to help and all that. It's really great to have you guys around for partnerships and whatnot. So really appreciate it.
Yep, thank you. I concur with all of that. Thank you so much. It's very helpful to have you as a partner. Really great in our government community and everything. So yeah, let's take a picture.
Probably. Can I just wheel this out and then maybe? I know, right? Right here, good. Good.
Don't get comfortable.
It's right here, right? Oh, so sorry.
Right up here. So I usually have the last tire like right here. Wheel.
Right there?
About right there, yeah.
All right, good.
Oh,
Sorry.
thank you.
Okay, very good. All right, we have another presentation, item 2B, regarding the acknowledgement of Resolution Copper's contribution toward the co-work space at the Michelson Building. James.
I'm going to jump the gun. We've got an agenda item, like I mentioned, a little bit later on, but I'm going to go through a little bit of the history that the Community Investment Fund application was back in 2019. In April 2022, there was a request from the City of Globe to Senator O'Halloran, Representative O'Halloran, that for a congressionally directed spending grant of $750,000 that was awarded. There was also a USDA RISE request submitted, and that's for programming and putting together actually the activities that will take place in this center. That was granted. The project bids came in, they were a little bit higher, so in working in these partnerships, so the City of Globe in 2023, the CDS, Congressionally Directed Spending Funding application was approved. And in 2024, the roof completion was performed. So what we have in the funding for the roof replacement total cost is about $400,000. And the county has invested a significant amount more than that to date, but the resources that will be available total about just under $1.5 million, which I believe will be enough to complete the remodel of that building. So Resolution Copper has been looking for investment opportunities. You guys want to come up? You don't have to if you. Resolution Copper has been a great partner, as well as Freeport. The resolution has looked for opportunities to invest in economic development for Gila County. And so they are really bridging the gap that we had in what the bids were for completion of the project and the money that was available. And through Resolution Copper, we will be able to finish the project with nearly $1.5 million of total resources that are available and budgeted for this. So we want to express appreciation. With resolution, maybe I should let you guys speak, but it's in the process now, and looking forward to working with resolution on this project. So if you guys want to go ahead and say some words.
Good morning, Chairman and Board and staff and public. Thanks for the opportunity to come today and show our appreciation for this project. I know it's been in the works for a long time, and we're excited to be coming into it at the tail end of the fundraising for this. At resolution, our economic development strategy is really focused on a few pillars, but the top one is economic diversification. And we think that this project is crucial at assuring that the Copper Triangle and the Copper Corridor can remain competitive in diversifying the local economy and helping grow small business, incubating new businesses, and allowing residents that opportunity. Since 2020, our spend in Globe alone with local suppliers and contractors is over $20 million. And that's just through a permitting and some project upkeep. That's not even through our construction and operations. So as we get closer to what will be construction, there's going to be a larger opportunity to really grow small businesses to provide services and supplies that we need. And we think an incubator project like this is crucial in that. So thanks again for this opportunity. We do look forward to supporting this, and we'll have a draft agreement over for your attorney's review, hopefully in the next week. So
Appreciate that. Thank you. And remind me of your name.
yes, sorry, Brian Sepala.
Brian
Yeah.
and
Anna Vargas.
Anna. Thanks for coming. Supervisor Humphrey.
Just thank you all very, very much. We appreciate all that you do to help us and have in the past, and looking forward to helping create businesses for your needs in the local community rather than bring businesses in from outside. So appreciate it very, very much. And I hope some of the younger people take advantage of what you're trying to present to them to help with these businesses start up and grow to be able to help the community. So thank you all very much.
Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, you too. Thanks for everything you do as well. You guys have been awesome for the community and the surrounding communities, and we're really grateful to have you around as a partner. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. We want another photograph?
Mr. Chairman, if we might, could we have City of Globe? We've been partnering with, the county has been partnering in an unprecedented way with the City of Globe on this project all along.
Sure.
And if anyone from City of Globe would like to make a few comments on their vision for the project and what it will mean to the community. That would be appreciated.
Okay.
Good morning, Chairman and Supervisors. This is such an incredible moment in our timeline. As James mentioned in the first presentation, the seed was planted for this project in 2019 with a chance meeting with a board member of Cahoots, which is a co-work space that is an Arizona-based one focused on entrepreneurial efforts. And so we were invited to Phoenix to look at their co-work space. And when we walked in, just the fireworks went off. It's like this is what Gila County needs in order to promote business and entrepreneurial growth. And so thank you so much for your support, long-time support, and everything that's going towards this project is truly a collaborative effort, really a barn-raising enterprise as you see it. So thank you so much, and the City of Globe, we're extremely appreciative, and we can't wait to see you all at the ribbon cutting. And thank you to all of our stakeholders as well, because without everyone coming to the table for this project, again, it would not be possible. So thank you.
Thank you again. Okay, let's do another photo.
Cherry first. Okay, right here. 1, 2, 3. Smile, everyone. Awesome. Okay. Awesome. All right. Got some smiles.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you. Okay, very good.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, thanks once again for everyone that's participating in these great projects. All right, we're going to move on to our public hearings, which is item 3. 3A is information, discussion, action to adopt resolution number 24-11-04, granting a 25-year franchise to the Payson Water Company Incorporated to provide water service to Payson Water Company's customers in the Gila, Tano Creek Shores, Meads Ranch, Deer Creek, East Verde Park, Flowing Springs, Geronimo Estates, Elusive Acres, Mesa del Caballo, and Whispering Pines areas of Gila County. And we have Marion.
Thank you, Chairman Christensen and board members. Today I asked Sam if I could present this item and the following one, just because I have a lot of history with
Okay.
particular franchise company. I'll give you some history. On September 17th, the Board of Supervisors accepted an application for a franchise license for Payson Water Company, Inc. I've been working with Whitney Burke of a Shapiro law firm, and she represents the applicant, Jason Williamson. Diego Dominic of Shapiro law firm is present today in Payson. Raise your hand, Diego. Okay, I see him, thank you. If there's any questions I can't answer, he will. So in June 1998, the Arizona Corporation Commission approved Robert Hardcastle's application to reorganize the water utility structure of Brook Utilities, which of some of the companies, there were many companies he reorganized and started new ones. One of them was Payson Water Company, and the other was Tano Basin Water Company, which I'll address in the next item. In June of 2013, JW Holdings LLC, which is owned by Jason Williamson, acquired Payson Water Company and Tano Basin Water Company through a stock purchase. What this means is it did not need to go through the ACC for approval, Arizona Corporation Commission. The maps attached to the resolution, which is the franchise presented to you today, has are the maps from the ACC's decision in 1998. They weren't really very good, but so I asked Ms. Burke to go work with the ACC or do any other research to come up with better maps. So they were, well, also, we did get some new maps, and they're a little clearer, so they will be attached as supplemental information to the resolution. I've reviewed the application. The county attorney's office has reviewed the application, and I feel everything is in order. Mr. Williamson has been operating, like I said, since 2013 in good standing. And overall, it is the ACC that has oversight for utility companies. So I just recommend you conduct the public hearing. And I do want you to know I have not received any written objection.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
Neither do I.
Okay, so at this time, I will close the discussion and open it up for the public's discussion on item 3A. Is there anyone in Globe here today that wishes to speak to this item? No? Cassandra, do you have anything on the internet? No? And Tyler, is there anyone in Payson wishes to discuss this?
Nothing here.
Okay, thank you. So I will close the public hearing portion of item 3A and call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt resolution number 24-11-04.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. All those approved say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries unanimous. Item 3B, information discussion action to adopt resolution number 24-11-05, granting a 25-year franchise to Tonto Basin Water Company Incorporated to provide water service to Tonto Basin Water Company's customers in the Lake Roosevelt Gardens East, Lake Roosevelt Gardens West, Roosevelt Lake Estates, and North Bay Estates areas of Gila County. Marion.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Christensen and board members. This agenda item basically mirrors what I just presented. It has to have its own public hearing, and it does have a separate resolution for a 25-year franchise. And again, this company's in good standing with the ACC, and I've not had any objection to the application.
Thank you. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
I'm good.
Okay, I will now open it up to the public for any comments on item 3B. Anyone here in Globe wishes to speak to this item? No. Cassandra, no. Tyler, anyone in Payson? No, okay. Thank you. I'll close the public hearing portion and call for motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to adopt resolution number 24-11-05.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimous. On to item 3C, information discussion action to adopt resolution number 24-11-02, which approves Gila County Community Development Case number CUPP 2408-001, a request of Pine Strawberry Fuel Reduction Incorporated, which are the applicant and leasee, Gila County owner and leaseor, for a conditional use permit upon Gila County's assessor's tax parcel number 301277072, which is located at 3180 Old County Road in Pine, Arizona, Gila County. Randy, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman, Supervisors. We're here today for the CUP, and this basically was, they've been operating under a use permit or a temporary use permit for their special events, which is a pain every year going through this, and the public didn't have any input. So by going through this CUP process, it was opened up to the public to see if they had any concerns or questions about what is going on. So the Pine Strawberry Fuel Reduction run 3 events a year. They also lease this property from Gila County. This is the Red Barn there in Pine. And they run the Fire on the Rim mountain bike race. They run Pine Trail Run and community dinner, and they have a car show and a yard sale. And they run these things out of this same property. And so we opened it up to the residents for any comments. We received none, so we went forward. I will tell you around there, it is R1D12 and R1D175 zoning. Property owners within 300 feet of the subject property were notified of the CUP and request. Notifications and legal ads were done on 10/15 and 10/16 in the Payson Roundup and the Silver Belt respectively. We have went through, they are basically, there is like 15 conditions, which they are meeting now. I can read them if you would like. But in moving forward, the board recommended unanimous approval. The P&Z Commission and staff also sees this as a positive event. And so we're here today to finish up the CUP process and move forward. And again, if you recommend approval, there are 15 stipulations that we've put in here. Again, they're meeting those now and they've seen these. And then we also provide a motion if you want to deny. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Randy. Supervisor Humphrey.
I don't have any questions, Randy, thank you.
Supervisor Klein.
Randy, what are, just for curiosity, what are those 15 stipulations?
Glad you asked. I've been wanting to read them. Development, operation, and maintenance shall be in conformance with the application narrative materials provided with the conditional use permitted dated August 1st and August 4th of 2024. 2, a certificate of insurance listing Gila County as additionally insured is required to be provided to Gila County Community Development prior to the date of the event. No alcohol on site unless an approved Arizona state liquor license is obtained and all requirements are followed. The Gila County maintenance yard is not to be used unless it has written authorization from the Gila County Public Works Director. Prior to the event, an event permit or approval from the Strawberry Fire Department will be required. Please contact the fire department and the fire marshal. All lighting must be in conformance with the Gila County Outdoor Lighting Ordinance. 7, noise shall not be generated by any use to the point of disturbing of the peace that can be considered a nuisance. No generators between 6 p.m. and 8 a.m. Must designate at least 2 parking spaces that meet the American with Disabilities Act, and 1 space must be van accessible. 10, adequate sanitation facilities shall be provided on site. Sanitary facilities shall conform to state and county and health requirements. 25% of the porta potties being used must meet ADA. 11, provision shall be made for collecting and disposal of all solid waste generated in conjunction with the proposed uses. 12, must verify that any food trucks or food stands that will be on site have a permit issued by the Gila County Health Department. Any requirements, 13, any requirements, county, state health department, sheriff's office permits license must be attained. It is 14, it is the responsibility of the applicant and the leasee of the subject property at APN 301-27072 to obtain all necessary federal, state, county, and local permits that may be required. The issuance of a conditional use permit does not relieve the applicant or the leasee of any liability for failing to obtain the required permits. And 15, if it is determined that any of the above noted conditions are violated, this conditional use will become void immediately.
Thank you, Randy.
Yeah, thank you, Randy. Could you repeat that? No, thank you. That's the end of your presentation.
That's the answer, yes, unless you have
And I
any
want to
questions.
thank Elsa for coming, representing the Pine Strawberry Fuel Reduction Group. So at this time, I will now open it up for the public hearing. And so is there anyone in Globe that wishes to speak to this? Item 3C, no. No. Cassandra and Tyler, no. Okay, very good. So I will close the public hearing portion and call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt resolution number 24-11-02.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to our regular agenda items at this point, and item 4A, information, discussion, action to approve a lease agreement between the Payson Senior Center and Gila County for $11,800 per month from November 1st, 2024 to July 31st, 2025. And this is to relocate the court services during the remodel of the Gila County Payson Courthouse. Michael, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. This is exactly what you read, Chairman. What we are is we're ready to start the Payson Courthouse remodel that this board approved in March of this past year to move forward. Construction is set to start in January, and we were looking for a place to move all the court services into during the 6 to 7 month remodel project, which is going to start in January, like I said. So we were looking for spaces in Payson, and we were put in touch with the Senior Center, who had purchased a large building called the Longhorn Building recently, and they're going to be moving their services into this particular building, but not until September of next year. So we have this small window of opportunity. This building in this space that we're looking to rent is about 8,000 square feet that can fit almost all the services from the courts into. And that's what I'm here in front of you to seek your approval of this lease so we can get that construction project started. And I'll be happy to answer any questions, but I would like to put out at least a thank you to the Payson Senior Center. They've been extremely accommodating and extremely helpful with this process. So I really appreciate their input and their cooperation.
Thank you, Michael. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, Michael, on a deal like this, if we're gonna move into it and they're not gonna move into it till later, what are we gonna need to do to that building to be able to utilize it as we need to?
That's a great question, Supervisor. And in this particular case, this building is already set up for offices, and it already has the IT wiring inside. So very minimal work is going to be needed. There's 15 offices. We have approximately 30 to 33 staff. We're going to be moving out of the courthouse into this building, and it's set up almost to move in with a little bit of assistance from our IT department to get the computer system working and Wi-Fi and the network and everything else like that. So very little is going to need to be done.
Okay.
Which is why this
Yeah, no.
building is so nice.
Yeah,
to
no, that's
have.
great. I could just vision, that many square feet of what remodel it's gonna take for us to use it, for them to be able to use later. So, thank you.
You betcha, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Klein.
Michael, I think that answered my question right there, but please pass along to the senior center that we really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I
That is gonna help a lot, so.
Yes, thank you, Michael. And it is the perfect location, really, and I'd like to extend my thanks to the Senior Center for allowing us to be there and work together. So if there's no other discussion, then I will call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve a lease agreement with the Payson Senior Center as presented.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 One last thing, thank you, Supervisor, for connecting us with the Payson Senior Center too.
Thank you.
That was key as well.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. And all right, so we're moving forward, doing great. 4B, information, discussion, action to review the submitted bids for request for proposal number 073024. It's the pharmacy services for Gila County Detention Medical, and award a contract to the lowest, most responsible, and qualified bidder. Good morning, Mr. Fulton.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Board. The pharmaceutical contract for pharmacy for the Gila County Detention Center is due to expire. Open bidding was sent out. 3 pharmaceutical companies applied. We looked at all 3. I discussed it with my medical staff. Westwood Pharmacy was by far the best. We've had Westwood Pharmacy since 2021. The bid price since 2021 was $75,000 was the cap. due to Suboxone and other pharmaceutical needs, it increased 20, so we're looking at 100,000 for this bid cycle. If we get pick up some grants in there, it should lower that down. Picked up 15,000 this year from the health department for the Suboxone. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them for you.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, my only question is from month to month, I don't know how you can regulate what medications are gonna be provided. And so if it's a pharmacy amount of $100,000, it's not to exceed $100,000, it's just for $100,000. Like you say, if you get a grant for 15 or 20, do you still give them the $100,000 or, you know, I mean, cause like I say, just in the short way, the way it reads is we're just gonna do an award contract to them for $100,000. Here's $100,000, so.
No, they won't receive the 100,000. It's like the last, it was 75,000 was the last contract. We went over by 20,000. So that was 95,000. We looked at based on the last 8 months with the Suboxone program that I got going, it burns up a lot of money in there pharmaceutical wise.
Okay, so $100,000 or less.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, but that's not the right reads. That's why I asked, so, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ray, thanks. I think you answered my questions earlier, so appreciate it.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, I think we're all set to go, so I'll just, for motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to award a contract to Westwood Pharmacy in the amount of $100,000 or less if response to request for proposal number 073024.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Okay, second.
If that's okay with the attorney that I changed for less instead of just the $100,000.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, item 4C, information, discussion, action to approve funding agreement number 528-25 between the Arizona Department of Housing and the Gila County Public Health and Community Services Department to receive $9,000 of the Continuum of Care Planning Fund and $64,106 of the Housing Trust Fund to be used through June 30th, 2025, whereby the department will act as the lead Gila County continuum of care and build capacity for activities, discussions, and meetings directed at ending homelessness. Joshua.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. So the Continuum of Care Funds, so this right now supports one full-time position. That person's, the $9,000 is specifically just for attending the state level meetings, usually virtual meetings that we attend on the state level where they just talk about the different pots of money and the problems that each county is facing and possible potential solutions. The other $64,000 is for the intake of homeless population here in Gila County, kind of get all the information, why they're homeless, whether it's transitional, and then also to do our PIT count, our homeless count each year. If you notice, this year we got cut $64,000. I suppose the good part about this is we still receive the funding to have the position that does the work. The bad part about it was the funding that we were cut was the money that we used to do for the people that were more in like a transitional situation, whether it was putting them up in a hotel or something for 30 days or helping them with like first and last month's rent and deposit to get into a place. That funding's now gone. So that's why the half cut in the grant. So we're not sure what this will be for the future, but at least for this next year as the funding kind of dwindles, we still have that opportunity to be a part of the state group, which is where we hear most of our grant and other opportunities. So I think that's it.
All right, thank you. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, the only question I have is it seems to me that a lot of the homeless migrate. I mean, depending on temperature and weather. If it's hot, then they're up north, and if it's cold, then they move down south. And so that's got to be very hard for you to regulate in what I guess how you qualify people for your service. So that would seem difficult to me.
Correct, and I think that's why, especially coming over from the health department, why I really focus on those transitional ones, right? It's the people that are that we can actually help to stay in the community that they're from, that we, focus a lot of our attention on those ones that are here. They've lived here, they became homelessness for a short period of time, where we can step in and get them back into housing and back into a job and contributing.
Thank you very much for all that you do.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Klein.
Josh, thank you for all you guys do, but I've got some questions. So it hasn't been that long ago that we started this continuum of care.
Correct.
Have we gotten to the point, are we seeing the numbers starting to decline as far as homelessness, or are they increasing? And how about the numbers of the folks that we're able to help get off the streets and get them another start? Where are we with all that?
Well, from what I looked at when this originally started, and I think you're right, I think we've had this for 4 or 5 years now, so I looked at a little bit of history of this myself. I mean, it started with around 30 or 40 people that were on that first pit count, and then it dropped down a little bit, and then during the COVID years, it just kept going back up, and we kind of spiked there for a while in 2021. Last year's count, I just emailed, Katie believes it was at 74. So we're going back down again. I think, again, it's difficult, like Supervisor Humphrey said, with transitional. A lot of them bounce back and forth between Gila County and other places, California, the Valley, those places. But, I mean, we have always been able to help with the transitional. At least from what I saw, a lot of the people that come in that did rental assistance, where we got them set up in a new apartment, or that, stayed, some of this money we could even use. The homelessness money was very flexible. So if someone drove here to visit family and got stuck here and we needed to send them back to New Mexico or wherever that was, we had funding to do that. So if someone didn't end up being homeless in Gila County that could be with their family or something somewhere else. So we definitely make a dent in the transitional portion of it. The homelessness portion of it, we count them, but like I said, there's never been a lot of funding there's no housing funding or anything like that, or we have different jobs programs, but there's not a lot of funding to help with the homelessness portion as much as there is to help with the transition.
So from your standpoint then, in community services, you don't see a lot of grants or opportunities coming through the state or anywhere to help with this?
As I learned slowly what it means to be a federal housing authority. So this is a very new world for me, I'll admit. So learning what it means, Gila County is one of the few places, most of the rural counties don't have federal housing authorities. They kind of do it as a group, or the state does that for them. Gila County is designated as a federal housing authority, and I'm learning there are grants in that world. It's just learning the lingo and what we could apply for, and how much, maybe a work session, even how much the board and Mr. Minlev, anybody ever wants to go into that area, because it's an area that we're not currently in, getting into the housing, like Pinell and Maricopa and some of these other counties do, getting into that housing world, and whether that's a direction that we want to go or not. There are large grants in that area. There aren't a lot of small individual, helping small homeless populations or those kinds of grants. It's more large scale housing and those kinds of projects, which are much bigger asks.
So your pit count's coming up pretty quick, right? And that'll be held in Payson and here in Globe, correct?
Yep. And Hayden Wing, they go everywhere.
Okay, all throughout the county? Okay. So I honestly think there's some homelessness folks out there that we're not gonna be able to help. That's their lifestyle. They chose that. They want to stay that way. But the ones that do want the help are the ones that I'm more interested in, to be honest with you. So I'm really, if there's a way we can come up with numbers, some kind of tracking system to where we can see just exactly how many folks we can get off the streets and into housing or whatever, it'd be good to see that in the future, if you guys got a chance to do that.
I could definitely bring a work session for that, so to give you an update on kind of where we're at and where we see the counts that we do get from the pit count. I'd be happy after the pit count, I can put something for a work session.
Yeah, and then also if there's something that we need to pursue as a board for more grant money to help homelessness or transitional housing, whatever it is, then need clue us in, and hopefully we can make that push. So thanks for all you do.
Thank you, Supervisor. Thank you, Josh. I don't have anything to add, so I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve Arizona Department of Housing Funding Agreement number 528-25 as presented.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Josh. Item 4D, information discussion action to adopt resolution number 24-11-01, designating Maren Blythe Belling, Financial Director, as the Chief Financial Director for Gila County as required by Arizona Revised Statute number 41-1279.07, paragraph E, to submit the fiscal year 2024 expenditure limitation report to the Arizona Auditor General. Good morning, Maren.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Supervisor Klein, Supervisor Humphrey. This is an annual requirement. We were supposed to have had it done by July 1st, so I apologize that it's late. We will get it submitted to the state today, and then we will have it on our due by July 1st list in the future.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
I'm good. Thank you, Maren.
And so, Maren, we have to designate this every year?
Yes, we do.
You just can't become the permanent? No.
Apparently not.
Okay, gotcha. Unfortunately. So with that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt resolution number 24-11-01.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Maren.
Thank you.
Item 4E, information discussion action to approve the use of State of Arizona contract number CTR 066876 with J.E. Fuller Hydrology and Geomorphology Incorporated on a time and material basis in the amount not to exceed $95,000 for maintenance of the flood alert system in Gila County. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Chair, Board of Supervisors. Thank you. So Gila County has a series of 27 rain gauges and stream gauges throughout the county. They are maintained, as of last year, they were maintained by a contractor we had with J.E. Fuller. They made 37 visits to those 27 sites and did 10 repairs and or improvements. And these 27 sites are throughout the entirety of the county. In fact, Director Bell and I just looked at it again this morning, and they're spread out very well. And so with that, this is a request to put in a new contract with J.E. Fuller to continue to maintain these 27 sites for the county until we can get a fully staffed floodplain department to eventually take over.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, I don't have any questions. I just think it's good information for us to have these rain gauges to kind of know what's going on upstream from potential floods downstream. So I think it's a good thing that we do keep these kept up and maintenance.
Thank you, Supervisor Klein.
So Alex, I don't have anything against the rain gauges, but the reason the rain gauges were put there to begin with was because of the fires. So are we seeing the fire scars starting to recoup enough to hold back a lot of that runoff and moisture? I mean, I would only imagine that in time, a certain period of time, I don't know what the rain gauges up there are going to do for us once the brush and everything grows back. So do you have any idea where we are with all of that?
So J.E. Fuller does an annual report for us based on this. So I don't know the exact numbers for you, but I can look at that report and let you know.
I'd be curious to know. You know, it's been a few years anyway, so hope. And I don't know, with you looking at the rain gauges, well, of course, we didn't have much runoff this year, not yet anyway. So, mute question. Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. And with that, I will call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the use of state Arizona contract number CTR 066876 with J.E. Fuller Hydrology Incorporated as presented.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Alex. Thank you. All right, item 4F, and this is an item I'm glad to see coming up today. Been working on for a little while. Information, discussion, action to approve a funding request in the amount not to exceed $25,000 for the Gila County Sheriff's Office initial 18 to 24-month effort proposed by the U.S. Forest Service, Gila County Sheriff's Office, and Gila County Public Works Department and community partner collaboration to provide for the cost of towing and residual waste associated with the removal of abandoned vehicles, RVs, and travel trailers on the U.S. Forest Service land within Gila County. And we have representing the Sheriff's Department this morning, Cole Labonte, and we have representing our landfill department, Melanie Mendez.
Morning.
Good morning.
How are you, Board? I appreciate you guys letting us present this again. If you remember the last time we presented this, it was very convoluted. There was a lot of steps to it. And I think I walked away from it thinking that it wasn't really the best plan for us financially, and then, considering everyone's man hours. So we kind of went back to the drawing board on this program and we removed the section regarding charging the people who have dumped these RVs in the forest. When we really got down to how it was going to actually work, with the county attorney's office, we didn't feel that we would end up actually prosecuting the people responsible for dumping the RVs in the forest. And it was going to take a lot of time and money to determine if we were going to be able to charge them. So we kind of stepped back and said, what can we do to at least get rid of these eyesores in the forest, these items that are places for criminal activity. And then over the last year, we actually had some that caught fire. So we all agree that we need to get rid of these. We just need to figure out a financially responsible way of doing it. So working with Melanie, I think we've come up with a good program of doing it. And we've worked with the Forest Service, we've worked with some different community partners. And if you remember last time, I had a whole slideshow of all these different steps that we were going to have to go through. And I've whittled it down to a couple different things I'd like to run past you real quick. So we already know of all these areas that have these abandoned RVs. They've been there for quite a while. We know we need to get rid of them. So we would schedule time with a community partner who's agreed to tow them out of the forest. We would meet that community partner at that location. The law enforcement officer that's there would run the VIN, make sure it's not stolen, it's not evidence to a crime, there's not a lien involved where maybe that item needs to be sold to satisfy a tax burden of some kind for the county. So the law enforcement officer would make sure that none of those items are in play. They would provide this community partner with a document that says that this vehicle is in tow to be dismantled. That community partner would tow the vehicle to an off-site location, a private location. It's not a Forest Service location. It's not a Gila County location. It's not the landfill. That was one of our biggest concerns, is towing these vehicles that have hazardous waste and VIN numbers that we have to deal with in a different way to county property. We needed to avoid doing that. So this community partner is going to tow it to their land. They're going to dismantle the vehicle. Public Works has agreed to providing them with a large roll-off. So as that RV, trailer, whatever it may be, is dismantled, the trash that is non-steel, doesn't have any VIN numbers associated with it, and is not hazardous, that trash would go into a roll-off. All the other items the community partner has agreed to dispose of appropriately, and we'll kind of keep track of that as it goes along, because we don't want to be involved in any illegal dumping activities there, since that's the whole point of this, is to clean up the illegal dumping. So then Public Works would be notified when that roll-off is full. The landfill would respond, pick up that roll-off, bring it up to the landfill. And then also in conjunction while that's happening, we've worked with the Forest Service. They've got some community partners that would clean up the other remaining trash around those areas of the abandoned trailers, and they would bring that trash to the landfill to be dumped. So what this money is going to be used for, the ask here is the $25,000. It's going to be used to pay the community partner that's going to be towing and dismantling somewhere between $300 and $500 per unit. And then also it's gonna bear the, or pay for the landfill disposal fees. Landfill's an enterprise. The trash that goes in has to be paid for somehow, some way. So that's the way this program would work. We've cut out all of the people and all these situations where the vehicle would have to be sitting for huge amounts of time. We would have to be dealing with hazardous waste. We found a partner that's willing to do this without really making much money. We don't even think that that's going to cover the majority of the costs, because all the other ways that we have tried to figure out how to do what this community partner is going to do, we were well over $1,000 per unit. So, do you have anything to add to that?
Good morning, Supervisor, Chairman, and Supervisors. The landfill is in complete support of this program. In the past, RVs and vehicles have taken up a lot of space at the landfills, and we aren't permitted to dispose of engine parts or anything like that. And like Sergeant Labonte said, that it's taken us about $1,000 to take an RV that has an engine to the valley to be recycled. And so we were able to connect with some of our community partners that have helped us in the past at the landfill, and then some other cleanup community partners in the areas that have made this extremely cost effective. And again, this is a pilot program, and this is kind of a way to move forward and find a permanent solution for these items that are abandoned in the landfill or in the Forest Service. The Forest Service is also playing a huge part. They are facilitating the cleanup of each site. With every RV that's left in the Forest Service, there's an amount of residual waste. There's, clothes and weird stuff like that you wouldn't think would be there. And so they will be handling the cleanup there in the Forest Service, and then transporting to the landfill as well, and taking turns with the officers of being on site when those vehicles are towed. So that's all I have for this.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Humphrey?
Yeah, I thank you all very much for all your work, because blight's one of my big things. And so being able to clean up some of these things, because some places are pretty bad with some of this. So continue to work and keep on working to make something work. And the community partner, we have to thank him very, very much for being willing to help us with this. I think it's money well spent. The only thing is, before you haul some of these off, or we're going to need Josh to give him his information for the homeless, because we might be taking somebody's homes away. No, just kidding. Josh, we won't sick them on you when we haul their home off. But anyway, yeah, these things shouldn't be there, and if someone is in them, they shouldn't be in them. So thank you very much for cleaning up some of those areas. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Supervisor Klein?
So you guys, thank you for putting this together. It is a nasty mess out there in places. And these are all sites that's been there for several years. But
yeah, they are. They kind of go through evolutions of being inhabited and then not being inhabited.
Right.
And any way you slice it, it's just more trash coming in and none leaving.
The only part that I have against it is not pursuing the owners of those vehicles and filing charges. Because my thought is where does it end? We go through there and what you guys are doing is awesome. It's going to be a really good project. I know it's a pilot project, but what's to keep other people from coming right in there behind, especially when they know they can go ditch an old trailer off in the woods?
Yeah, and I think the last time I presented this, that was one of Supervisor Humphrey's biggest concerns. And I'm in law enforcement. My job is to charge people that break laws. So cutting out that portion was really difficult for me to get up here and try to present hey, we're just not going to deal with that. We're not going to deal with these people that have created a huge problem for us to have to figure out how to deal with. What it really came down to is actually being able to, how much man hours and time for the sheriff's office and the county attorney's office would it take for us to maybe determine who actually dumped that vehicle there. And the process, to kind of give a little bit of a high level overview of it, is we for the most part, would know who that vehicle was last registered to. That's the last person who did the right thing by legally registering it. And then they probably sold it to somebody who never went in and got it registered or insured. And then maybe it sat on somebody's land, or it was used until it was no longer really roadworthy, and then sold to somebody else. And then there's this trickle down effect of, I'm going to contact, as the sheriff's office, I'm going to contact the last registered owner. Hey, who did you sell it to? They're going to provide me with maybe a name, maybe not. Maybe it was something on Facebook Marketplace, and they can provide me with some user information. I'm going to have to get a detective involved to try to track down who that person is. Hey, who did you sell this to? And really, at the end of the day, as far as prosecution is concerned, all that person has to do is say, hey, it was in my front yard. Somebody rolled up and offered me $100 for it, and I said sure, and they drove off with it. I don't know who they are. And then now they've got plausible deniability. The county attorney's office isn't going to charge them, and we've spent a lot of time and man hours, not to be used against this, but all out of our budgets. The county attorney's office has got a man hour budget there, and so do we. And we want to be fiscally responsible to make sure that we're using our finite resource of man hours appropriately. Now, if, internally, we know that if we go there and we can look at receipts, we can look at mail, we can look at paperwork that's recent, that's there. If we happen to know who's coming and going from there, our plan is to pursue charges for that. But saying that's part of the program, and on every RV we go out and deal with, that we're going to do X, Y, and Z would probably be deceptive to the board here. So the plan is just to get it removed. We want it out of there. We want it out of the forest. I know you guys do too. And if we can hold somebody responsible for the illegal dumping, we will. But it's going to be few and far between, quite honestly.
I understand what you're saying, Cole. It just kind of rubs me the wrong way to have to deal with people doing this, knowing that it's not going to quit.
Yeah.
And the other question I would have for you is, where's the Forest Service with this? Where's their LEOs? Are they going to be a part of this? I mean, those are federal charges.
Yeah,
And
they are. So we're going to partner with them and determine the most appropriate entity to charge with. They have, in some cases, stiffer penalties for dumping, and sometimes they have more resources for investigating. Because this program is going to be lengthy, it's going to be a year or two, they go through periods of time where they don't have LEOs anywhere in the area because they're all off on a fire somewhere else dealing with other things. They don't have a lot of resources to help us with this, and we've been, for as long as I've worked for the sheriff's office, we have always put it off on them. Hey, it's your land. You guys need to deal with this. We don't have the ability through state statute, county ordinances, or other things to deal with abandoned vehicles. You guys do in a federal way. You need to handle it. They don't really have the resources to do it. And so at the end of the day, nothing's being done about it. And so our goal here is just to try to come up with some way that's still responsible to remove those items from the forest. If we can charge them, we will. We're going to determine, who can do that the best. Really, their partnership and their role in this program that we know of right now, and it's going to go through iterations as it goes along through the years. But they're going to have people that show up to clean up all the little pieces of trash. That's the only real resource they can provide at this point. Is they do have groups in northern Gila County that say, hey, tell us where there's trash, we'll go pick it up. We don't want to have to pay to dump it, and I'm saying we being that group. They don't want to have to, as a group, pay to dump it. And that's where Public Works has stepped in saying, hey, if you bring us the trash and we know it came from this area, we're willing to cover the cost of it. So they're providing some volunteer man hours to remove the trash.
That's a start, but it's not enough, quite honestly. And so hopefully, and I know we have some good district rangers that are there, that are involved. Yeah. And so hopefully they're looking at it from a team perspective of trying to gather up some more federal funds to put in this or something, because $25,000 isn't a lot of money. But I can see I can see where this is gonna go if people know that there's no accountability for dumping stuff.
repercussions.
You know, but I really applaud you guys for putting this together, cause it is a nasty mess. And it's only getting worse until we can find a place for these homeless people to go.
Yeah, and I mean, as you guys come up with ideas, you know, we're open to suggestions. We didn't get this far on our own ideas. It was input from other people. So if you come up with ways to help us with those concerns, we'll address it.
I appreciate all the work you guys have done.
And one other little caveat is that the community partner that's working with us, he will sometimes pay residents if they bring their RVs to him, opposed to dropping
Wow.
it in the forest. And that's how I got in contact with him, because I was looking for other ways that residents can dispose of material rather than bringing it to the landfill. And so we actually keep his number at each site, letting them know that, hey, instead of giving us your $244, you can actually get $200 from this guy if you take it to him. So if we can get that word out, I mean, that's great. We do let them know at the landfills when they come in. So there are other options rather than disposing of things in the forest, and it could even be beneficial to the residents.
Absolutely,
And
that's
maybe
good to
as
know.
this program gets going and we know that he's got the ability to handle all of those incoming units, maybe that's something we publicize in a way. We haven't wanted to publicize that just yet because we don't know if something's going to happen and he's not able to handle all of these dilapidated vehicles that could end up in the forest if they end up with him, and that's the way we prevent them from ending up in the forest. Then we're going to be all about that. We don't want to put that out there until we see the ramp up of this project.
So, Mr. Chair, one more question. You know, I know we have a big issue in Payson. Do we have that big of an issue down here as far as the RVs, trailers, stuff?
I don't think they're abandoned. I think they're living in them.
They're still occupied?
It doesn't seem like it, based on the calls for these vehicles or the citizen complaints that get filtered to me. It doesn't really seem like it. It seems like Melanie said, that the ones down here that are maybe in areas that seem abandoned are being used by folks. And then there's also a lot more cover and a lot of ways for people to hide getting these out into the woods that may not be the case here. The environment's beautiful. I guess they want to be camping and they just don't have any other place to camp.
Thank you.
Yes, it's a very needed program, really, honestly. A lot of abandoned stuff, and it seems to cluster together, and it seems to just completely fall apart. People break windows, everything just gets trashed. You can't even hardly tow anything out. It's just that destroyed. Then it creates a problem as far as crime or whatever. People don't want to hike into that area anymore, fire danger and all the other things. It's really something that's developed because I never remember this happening just a few years ago. It's just like suddenly all of a sudden we have a problem. So I appreciate everything you're doing. This is a good start. Let's see how this program works and see if we can do something. So with that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr.
Unfairly characterized during the discussion of this item. And the second is that when I saw it on the board's agenda, I reached out to Melanie to make sure that this program coordinates with the county recorder, the county treasurer's office, because this will assist the county treasurer in maintaining and cleaning up the tax rolls in the county. And if she's able to pursue parties for back taxes or satisfy back taxes, then that will assist the county in that regard. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that input. I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the funding request in the amount not to exceed $25,000 for the Gila County Sheriff's Office, Gila County Public Works Department, and community partners collaboration to support the removal of abandoned vehicles, RVs, travel trailers on U.S. Forest Service land.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Next, we have 4G, which is information, discussion, action to set a public hearing date Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024, 10 a.m. to consider increasing the tonnage rate for the landfill fees by $18 while maintaining the minimum load at the current level. Melanie, tell us what we're doing.
Thank you. Good morning again, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. So we put together a presentation. We did this last year as well, and we take our long-term planning along with our revenue projections over the next 10 years, and then kind of give us a glimpse of what we're dealing with, our revenue over time, and then if we're going to be able to afford the things that are needed to be done in the landfill. This is an outline, and this is the purpose of this presentation. And then we're going to talk a little bit about enterprise fund, what that means, what we should be doing with the enterprise fund, and what we're actually doing with the enterprise fund. Some background on our landfills, recent landfill history, life expectancy, some revenue that isn't collected at landfills, that'd be Dollar Day, and then the Pleasant Valley Transfer Station. We're going to go over equipment at the landfills and that Blue Ridge Services assessment that was conducted. They had some suggestions on equipment. Our closure, post-closure cost, those have increased quite a bit for the landfill 3A expansion. Combined financials, operations expansions for all our funds, our cash flow over time, and then our existing fee structure. And then we do have a recommendation for the board, but we're really looking for guidance to go into that public hearing. And we have a couple of options there. And then again, we have a recommendation. So the purpose of this, this presentation that we put together is to inform the board of the state of the landfill, the enterprise fund, and to receive guidance on a proposed fee increase for a public hearing. So the way that it works is that we would have to publish in the paper 15 days before a public hearing, have a public hearing. The residents would come and talk about it, and then you guys would make a decision, basically. And so this goes over a little bit of enterprise fund, and I don't feel like we really hit on this in previous presentations. And so again, the recycling and landfill management is an enterprise fund. It's self-supporting, and it doesn't have any assistance from the general fund whatsoever. Operation costs in landfill enterprise fund should be 60%. That's textbook. All the experts across the board say that 60% of all the revenue should be used each year for operation costs, and then the other 40% would go into a fund balance to save for future expansions, purchasing land, and then purchasing capital equipment like landfill compactors and bulldozers and things like that. Also, that fund would go for like we did the Blue Ridge Services gap assessment. That fund would also take care of those types of things. So the annual revenue for both landfills has averaged about $2.6 million. So if you were to take the 60-40 approach, $900,000 every year should be deposited into the fund balance going forward. And right now we're about 82.7% of operation costs within that $2.6 million. A little bit of background on fee increases. The last fee increase was about 2017, and we didn't know when this was going to be brought to the board, so it was about 7 or 8 years ago. I think it was more like 7 years ago. The Russell Gulch landfill expansion ended up costing 3 times what was originally budgeted in 2013 because of the inflation factor after in the wake of COVID. It was 3 times its normal rate. So we ended up spending more money than anticipated on the landfill cell 3 expansion. A fee study was conducted throughout Arizona. So the lowest fee was about $36 per ton. And that was in a highly populated area with a landfill that has a large footprint. They have several hundred acres. And then the most expensive one was $80 per ton. And that is ran by Waste Management in Payson. And the reason why that fee is so high is because they are required to transport that waste to the valley area. I think it's either Apache Junction or Phoenix. And again, we talked about anytime we take anything to Phoenix, it costs about $1,000 a load. And so at that transfer station in Payson, they charge $81 per ton. The national average all through the United States is right under $60 per ton at $58.47. A couple of things on recent landfill history and the life expectancy. So landfill cell 3A we just finished, and it's supposed to last about 9 years. And then between now and then, we would need to construct landfill cell 3B, and it should reach capacity in 2032. So again, landfill expansions take about 10 years to plan and get moving. And so we need to start actual construction of landfill cell 3B expansion 2 years before it reaches capacity. So that would be about 2030. We would need to have it in the works. And so that's actually less than 10 years. So those types of things we're planning for now. Landfill cell 3 will provide capacity up until the year 2045, which is 12 and a half years from now. And before 2045, the Gila County will need to site a new landfill. Again, that's another 10-year process. Otherwise, if we weren't able to procure land here in the Globe Miami area, we would need to turn it into a transfer station and transfer the waste to another landfill. The hope would be the Buckhead Mesa landfill in Payson. And so we'll move on to the Buckhead Mesa landfill. So currently the landfill sits on 51 acres of U.S. Forest Service under a special use permit. We had a couple of expansions that were done, and the landfill was, we were hoping it lasted till about 27, 28. But we did a recent flyover, and we found some extra capacity when we were doing some excavation with a leachate issue. We were able to excavate a bunch of soil that we don't know how it got there, but it was probably brought in by staff when they were working on a project. So during the flyover, we realized that we have capacity till 2032, which is about the same time that landfill cell 3B would reach capacity in Russell Gulch. What we're doing at Buckhead Mesa, because we need to expand the landfill past 2032, is that we are working on a Townside Act purchase with the Forest Service to purchase 526 acres of land. Some of it would be used for the landfill to last 100 years. So that's some long-term planning. And then there's some other areas that would be used for county purposes, and we're splitting the cost of the land purchase through general fund, HER funding. We'd use some of it for the roads, and then some for the landfill. The landfill cost is about $800,000, and we're planning to finish all of that. It's a very lucrative goal, but we're planning on finishing all of it by September 2025. Again, there's 52 steps to that process. We had a work session on that, but we're really pushing through that. So again, all of these costs of expansions, those would come out of the fund balance that we talked about, and that's the 40% of the total revenue that it's like a savings account to where we can pay for these things in the long term. So this is a brief overview of the two items. This is one of the two items of revenue that's not collected at the landfill. And I'm a big supporter of Dollar Day. The purpose of Dollar Day is to reduce illegal dumping and support the community and blight mitigation, and to help the residents keep their properties clear of brush and green waste. Gila County Dollar Day is a monthly discount that allows residents to dispose of up to 1,000 pounds of waste for $1. This happens the second Saturday of every month. The second Saturday of every month. There was a short period during the expansion that we did not hold Dollar Day here in Globe, but we still held Dollar Day out in Buckhead Mesa. So these wouldn't be accurate representations of numbers for a normal year of full operating for dollar day. So this year we received 4,155 loads over the course of the year, which means that we received $4,155 for those loads that came in. The total tonnage cost for those loads was $56,000. And so if you take the money that we received, we did not receive $52,000 this year for the tonnage that came in. And to kind of shed some light on tonnage, the first $18 of every ton that comes across is what pays for the building of the landfill and the closing of the landfill, if we were able to put that in perspective. So right now it's around $54. So that first $18, it has paid for the building of the landfill and then the expansion and then landfills going forward. So this would be the equivalent of about 50 cents per ton that comes into the landfill that is subsidized by landfill users to pay for these services that we offer to the county residents. This is another item of revenue that's not received by county landfills. So this is the Pleasant Valley Transfer Station. This year we picked up 70 loads from the Pleasant Valley Transfer Station. It was a total of 310 tons of waste coming down from Pleasant Valley, and the tonnage cost was $16,000. The transportation cost of the roll-offs going up to the Pleasant Valley Transfer Station and back was $56,000, and so that's a total cost of $72,000. Well, almost $73,000. The revenue received from the gate fees going into the Pleasant Valley Transfer Station were around $27,000. So there's about $45,000 that wasn't received from the operations of the Pleasant Valley Transfer Station. Again, it comes out to about 50 cents per ton that's subsidized by landfill users every year. During our Blue Ridge Services assessment, they were able to look at a high-level review of the landfill and give us ways to improve compaction operations and give us some advice on what we could do better. And because our landfills are a very precious commodity here and a very needed utility, we're really working to compact waste in a way that would prolong the life of all of our landfills. And so a couple of the things that they noticed is that we have landfill equipment that isn't suited for the landfills that we're operating. So we have two very large bulldozers that they're not finishing bulldozers. We finish a lot of slopes, and they're our tipping areas are so small, they're extremely bulky, and so traffic needs to be out of the way a lot whenever we use them. And so their suggestion is that we would buy two small landfill equipped bulldozers. They have landfill packages, so waste isn't getting in the tracks, and there's a lot of things that go into them that really save the equipment and prolong the life of the equipment, and it makes the it's a lot easier for the operators to operate the bulldozers. And so if we were to purchase two small bulldozers, it's $1.7 million is about what it would cost. They also suggested that instead of using scrapers at the landfills to move soil and earthen material, that we would auction off the scrapers and then invest in two 10-wheel dump trucks that were equipped for the landfill. The one we have now has way too much torque, and we snap the drivetrain often because it's on the soft dirt, and so we fix that on a regular basis. So two 10-wheel dump trucks would be ideal, and the cost for those would be about $415,000. The last one is to replace the landfill compactors that we have. If you look to the right, all the red miles and hours, that shows our equipment that's high in miles and hours and pretty much over our the expectancy for that equipment. Most of our equipment is over 20 years old, and and it costs a lot of money. We're constantly fixing them and rebuilding parts of them, and our general services team has been amazing, and they do a great job, but we do repair them often. So the last one is to replace two landfill compactors and save one of our existing ones for a backup. And the total of those would be $1.8 million. Of course, we would buy those over time. It wouldn't be like, hey, we need to buy all these today. They would be bought over time and put in our budget worksheet. So this is our financial assurance with every landfill. The ADEQ requires landfill owners to hold money into an escrow account, and it calculates the cost for closing the landfills. The funds are included by an inflation factor that's provided by the ADEQ. And then we also need funds for aquifer protection, forever landfill monitoring, because we have a landfill now, we don't ever not have to take care of our landfill. So for 30 years, we absolutely have to. And then after that, if there's monitoring issues, we still are responsible for those issues. So these funds would be held in an escrow account. And then at the time we would close the landfill, there's closure costs, and then there's post-closure costs, which is for the monitoring of the landfills. So last year we had $6 million in the fund. We were required to add $881,000 to the fund, bringing it up to $7 million. And this was for the post-closure and the closure costs and the post-closure for cell 3A. So that's now included in our escrow fund, and that hit our fund balance pretty hard. I know that when we brought it to the board last year, we were looking at about $12 and during our work session, and that has gone up significantly since then. So this is our cash flow over time, and hopefully everyone's still awake. I know this stuff is exciting to me, but so what we do is we take our actual tonnage every time we go over this for the year, and so we have our actual tonnage for last year, and then we have an inflation factor of 3%. And so our average tonnage is about $48. We took all of the tonnage that we bring into the landfill, and then we take an average tonnage rate, because we do have 3 separate tonnage rates that we have, and then we pull it out over time. And then you can see here we have dollar days, and we have the Young Transfer Station here, and this is an exercise that is using the assumption that the landfill would not be subsidizing the Young Transfer Station in dollar days. Instead, it would be subsidized somewhere else, like by the general fund. If that wasn't subsidized by the general fund, then we would have to increase it. Well, this year it would be about $1. Last year was about $2, because those 2 items came to about $200,000. So with this exercise, if we were to keep fees the same, we can see here in year 2029, based on all of the items that we have to do, purchase equipment, capital expansion, purchasing the land, we would go negative in 2029, 2030. And this is without any change to a fee increase. So this is the very top one is what we just looked at. And then these are 3 options for a fee increase. So if we were to increase the fee by $14, then we would go negative in 2030 based on all of the items that need to be taken care of for long-term planning. If we were to increase the fee for $16 a ton, we would still go negative in 2030. We'd still stay negative in 2031 and 32, and that's about $700,000. And so if you were to take that amount, that would be the same as buying a piece of equipment that we really need. And so we would go negative. So we'd either have to forego the purchase of capital equipment that's much needed, or borrow money to make up for those funds. It does go back positive in 2032, about $200,000, and then we're almost up to half a million dollars in 2033. Our recommendation would be the $18 fee increase per ton. And you see here that we don't go into the negative, at least as far as 2033. The good news is for residents that would bring in trash on a regular basis, maybe once a week, they load up their trash and bring it, there would be no change for them. We're proposing to increase the tonnage fees by $18, but keep our minimum load fees exactly the same. So anybody that that was a regular user of the landfill opposed to subscribing to trash service, they wouldn't be impacted at all. And at the very bottom, you can see here through the years, we have, if we use our current, this is by 2033, if we don't increase fees, we'll be negative $6.5 million by 2033. If we increase it by $14, we'll be negative $500,000 in 2033. We'll be up almost $500,000 if we increase it $16. However, we spent 2 years that were negative before that, and we didn't get to buy the equipment that we need. And we only budgeted $300,000 every year for capital equipment, so that's not an exuberant amount. So it would take us about 3 to 4 years to actually purchase and pay off one piece of equipment with the exercise that we've completed. And then here for $18 a ton, we'd be up $1.6 million in 2033 and ready for all the new planning that we would need to do over the next 10 years. So again, we're looking for a decision guidance on what the board sees fit and for the public hearing. Again, our recommendation would be to increase fees $18 per ton and keep the minimum load fee for residents exactly the same. Any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Melanie. But today we're not deciding on a fee. We're deciding on to conduct a public hearing.
Public hearing.
Supervisor Humphrey.
I hope a lot of the public was listening today on the deal, because awful lot of information, no stones left unturned of purpose for this. Appreciate it. But like I say, I would very much like input from the public. I mean, I fought hard for Dollar Dump Day to help clean things up, and so I know it's used a lot because I've been in those lines. But I'd like to hear from the commercial people. I would like to hear from the people that, take their trash once every 2 weeks or something. I'd like to hear from Dollar Dump Day. I mean, I fought hard for Dollar Dump Day to help people clean up, but would they mind a $2 dump day? So that the tipping fee, instead of going to $18 a ton, it'd be $16 a ton, because the everyday people or the dollar day people are going to pitch in a little bit too. I hope a lot of people have access to this information and that we hear from them, because in the end, I'm going to have to make a decision for the people, and then I'm going to get a phone call that's in, why are you putting me out of business? Well, because you didn't let me know how you felt. So I thank you very much for compiling all this information for public information. And I urge the public to look at some of this information and talk to your supervisors and give them some input, because we have to someday close these landfills, and it costs, and that money has to come from somewhere. And so raising the tipping fees is it necessary? And I'm wondering why we didn't already put the transfer station in Payson out of business, because they're 81 and we're like, what, 56 or something. So I don't know why anybody goes there when they can take it to us for $20 a ton less. Okay, public, there's your information. So we might, now that everybody knows the tipping fees. But anyway, Melanie, thank you very much for the presentation and compiling this. public take advantage of all of the work that was put into this and look and see and help me. Give me some phone calls. Let me know where you stand on this. And if you don't mind paying $2 for dollar dump day, let me know, you know? So Melanie, thank you very much. Public, I thank you ahead of time for letting me know how you feel about the landfills and where we're going with them. And so I appreciate the information because it's so nice to be able to look ahead this far and know where we're going instead of have surprises like we did on our old landfill when we had to close it. So
Agreed.
thank you very much. Mr. Chair, that's all.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Klein.
Melanie, Homero, thanks for putting this together. There is a lot of information, and I do have a little bit to say. The equipment part of it, we went through this before you were here. You know, that's why we have a scraper. That was the big thing back then. You got to have a scraper in the operations of landfill. I know a lot of other landfills have scrapers as well. So what's the right piece of equipment or what isn't? I'm not one to tell you. But I'd like to have more than just one outfit's opinion too, because equipment is very, very expensive. And it needs to be the right equipment. Otherwise, you do tear it up, and the repair costs are a lot. So that's something that I feel like needs to be looked in pretty thoroughly. Is that when it comes to you're looking out 10 years ahead, 12 years ahead of time, we don't know what the costs are going to be. We have no idea. We can put all kinds of numbers on these charts and make them look really good for today. And in 10 years, we're way behind, which would be my guess. I very seldom ever see anything go down. So when it comes to the new acquisitions or land acquirements and putting together new systems, who knows? Just like that, we were $3 million over on the landfill here, Russell Gulch. So to really say that this is what it's going to take to plan for that, well, I think we can plan towards that, but is that going to cover it? I bet you it won't. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The other part of this is we can't get to the point to where people can't use our landfill. We can't do that. We talked today about the things out there in the woods and the trash. We've been a part of cleaning up around these towns and stuff. We've seen what happens when people can't afford it. They just go out to the local wash somewhere and dump it off. And so if you up the fees, one thing will happen, I can almost promise you, is I'll drive more people to the dollar dump day. That's what's going to happen. It'd be like, yeah, we can hold on to this till next month. You know, why go for the extra money? It'll drive some people to go back to the washes and dumping stuff. There has to be that balance. And I appreciate what Tim said about dollar dump day, because I am a fan of that as well. Now, is there a way of adjusting that for a few dollars or whatever? You know, it needs to be looked at, I would say. The Pleasant Valley Transfer Station, that's not even weighed trash when it comes through the gate. So to spit numbers out on that is just arbitrary numbers. They mean nothing because we have no way there to weigh trash in. If we had a set of scales sitting there that people drive over the scales and we know what's in that vehicle and they paid for it, there wouldn't be a deficit there. So there's some angles to this that I think really need to be adjusted. I'm not in favor of doing away with the dump day, whether it's $1 dump day or $5 dump day, whatever it is. I'm not in favor of doing away with it. Definitely not in favor of doing away with the transfer station, and I'm not in favor of our general fund subsidizing it. And so I think there's some different ways that a person could sit down and sharpen a pencil. Maybe go for a few extra dollars and set a scale in there at Pleasant Valley, even for a year, just to see what you're missing. Mm-hmm. You know, it's when you have somebody just standing at the gate saying, yeah, $7, $20, whatever it is, that's what it is there. That's the way it happens. So we don't know that we're losing money there. Well, we are because of what happens when it's dumped off in Payson, the tipping fee. So there's ways I think we need to really look at this before we jump in there and really talk $18 a ton more or $25 a ton more or whatever it is. I think there's more to be done here to come up with some other ideas too and make sure we exhaust everything that is out there to turn around and say, this is what we need. And more likely it ain't gonna be enough in 10 years. That's my 2 cents. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Melanie and Merrill, all involved. Great presentation, almost a work study kind of presentation. Very good, though. It just shows to me that we're going to be in the red in around 7 or 8, 9 years, hopefully not sooner. So we need to plan now for that. And I have a feeling that what's occurred is maybe previous years or decades, it wasn't planned for properly. So now it's time for us to step up and plan for it. And even though this seems like a big jump, I think what we're deciding today is, are we going to let the public have some input on this? Let's see what that input is, and then we can start hashing out some of these details. But if we're going to run it like an enterprise, then we need to run it like an enterprise. Part of that is inflation, part of that is more cost, that's all part of running an enterprise. So I'm going to ask you, maybe it's going to be a hard question, maybe. Can you convince me why the county should be in the landfill business versus private sector?
So the landfills provide jobs to county residents, and waste disposal is a very needed utility. And if we were to bring in private contractors to either run it, or if we were to sell it to private contractors, we would be looking at what Payson is charging, and it's probably about $81 a ton. So far we've been able to stay under those fees, and whether or not they would want to purchase land, or if the Forest Service would even let them purchase land. So we would probably end up with transfer stations, much like Payson has through Waste Management. And rural communities, rural counties end up paying more for these types of utilities because the nearest landfill is 78 miles away, and the transportation costs are high. And so I think the county staying in the landfill business, we have the opportunity to keep those fees as low as possible. Because here they're, $71 for commercial, we're still coming in $10 under what Waste Management is charging in Payson.
Okay, good answer. I like that, because really what you're saying is that the county being involved in the landfill business is going to be less expensive for the residents of the county.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we do it, not because it's fun and not because, it's easy. It's not. It'd be much easier to just say, let's just not do it, and not have to do the equipment and the everything involved, because we're dealing with the Forest Service, we're dealing with environmental protection, we're doing a lot. And so that should be part of the conversation, I believe, as we ask the public, would you be willing to pay another amount, $18 as you're recommending, or we go into the red at some point anyway?
Mm-hmm.
Or would you rather us not be in the business and you pay $30 more per ton to do that, and probably be even more impact with people dumping in the forest and all of that sort of thing? So, yes, sir.
I have one question, Mr. Chair, and Joe, you may be able to answer this. Back in the day, didn't the county contract the landfill out to private individuals to run and operate?
Microphone, Mr. Alvin. Yeah.
Yes, it was operated by a company called Arizona Landfills Incorporated. And then at some point, the county terminated that contract and took over operation of the landfill. But the property has always belonged to Gila County, the Russell Gulch landfill.
Uh-huh.
And then the Buckhead Mesa landfill was created back in the 1980s after the landfill out in Star Valley was closed.
And was it contracted as well?
The Star Valley landfill was operated by Gila County, and then Gila County took on operation of the Buckhead Mesa landfill once it was constructed. And that landfill was the first landfill constructed in Arizona built to current ADEQ standards. And that's why the county's been able to operate it and expand it to date, because it was built to standard then. That's not the case. I'm not sure, but that may not be the case with the Russell Gulch landfill.
Thank you, Joe.
Any more discussion? Okay, so I'm going to call for a motion on item Fiji, which is 4G, not Fiji, and which is about the public hearing date.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to set a public hearing date on Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024 at 10 a.m. to consider increasing the tonnage rate for landfill fees.
Mr. Chair, I will second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Melanie. And when you say 10 o'clock, where will this meeting be conducted?
I believe it's here, correct? I'm sorry. I don't know the answer to that. Yes.
Oh, it'll be a regular board meeting. I'm sorry. Okay, so that's helpful to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right. So that'll be like a public hearing at our regular board meeting. Okay, now I get it. All right, 4H, information, discussion, action to adopt resolution number 11-06-24, which authorized the execution of intergovernmental agreement number 24-00097775-I.
Chairman, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Could I back up? December 4th is a Wednesday. And so if it's part of the regular board meeting, it would be Tuesday, December 3rd, I believe.
It's in red on mine, December 3rd.
I have Tuesday, December 3rd.
And that's what we approved.
That is what we approved, yes. Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, we want to make sure that's clear. Okay, I'll continue reading rather than repeat. Between Gila County and the State of Arizona Department of Transportation in the amount of $1,041,199, which fully funds the scoping and design of Russell Road. Good morning again, Alex.
Good morning again, Mr. Chairman, Board of Supervisors. So as you know, Russell Road washed out in several places between milepost 3.5 and 5.2 after the flooding that occurred as a result of the telegraph fire. The Gila County Engineering Department was trying to figure out a way to fund the design and reconstruction of this road. And back in August, we actually got approved for the SMART grant from ADOT. And so this is 100% funded by, so it's federally funded, will need to be administered by ADOT because of that. And this specific SMART grant is for, again, $1,041,199, which includes the entirety of the scoping, design, plans, specification, engineer's cost estimate, environmental assessment report, and a grant submittal document to provide standard information. So under the SMART grant requirements, in order to not have to pay back this funding, we have to actually apply for an additional construction grant immediately following the completion of the SMART grant. And so part of this money will go to this engineering firm to help us prepare to apply for that. What we are looking at are the Protect grants and the Build grants to help fund the construction of this project after it has been designed. So 100% federally funded, and this will get us some options for fixing Russell Road.
Thank you, Alex. Supervisor Humphrey.
I thank you very much for your persistence on this. It's been washed out a long time. And so thank you for continuing to work on this. And that seems like an awful lot of money, but with all the requirements that are necessary to deal with U.S. waterways and Forest Service and all the things. So, yeah, I appreciate you continue to working on this. And the neat thing of it is once this is designed and we do have a design and now it's all tied up in a bow, then we will have a cost amount that we can put in for a grant for, because right now, until this engineering's done, we don't have that information. So thank you, and I appreciate all of staff's persistence in continuing to work on this, and I'm looking very forward to when this is finished and we can put in for a grant. So Alex, thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you, Supervisor Klein.
I'm good. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, I'm good as well. I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt resolution number 11-06-24.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Alex. Item 4I, information, discussion, action to approve amendment number 1 to state contract number CTR 0161840 with the S.J. Anderson Company to extend the term of the contract through December 31st, 2024, and decrease the dollar amount of the contract by $43,063.08 for a not to exceed amount of $177,020.57. Good morning, Joseph.
Good morning, Chairman, Board of Supervisors. This request seeks approval for amendment number 1 to state contract with S.J. Anderson Company for the Gila County Fairgrounds prefab, bathroom slab, and earthwork utility project. This project was launched and completed in response to community needs and funded by the American Rescue Plan grants for the fairgrounds improvements. The fabricated restroom facility was purchased for $325,759, with the slab, earthwork, and utility contracted to S.J. Anderson at $220,084.65. The Facilities and Land Management Department proposes extending the contract term to December 31st, 2024, and reducing the total cost by $43,063.08, bringing the final contract to $177,020.57. This cost savings was achieved through efficient resource management, lower than anticipated material costs, and minimal use of contingencies. The extension provides also a buffer to complete financial and administrative closeout tasks, ensuring compliance and allowing for minor adjustments as needed. This amendment will enable us to finalize the project within budget and with full operational readiness. Approval of this amendment reflects our commitment to delivering a high-quality, cost-effective improvement for the community facilities, and we just want to thank you for your support in advance. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Joseph. Gotta love that. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions other than thank you very much for helping us continue to make the fairgrounds a better place for recreation. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Supervisor Klein.
I'm good, Joseph. Thank you. Savings is always good.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm sure we can find a good use for that. I will call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve amendment number 1 to state contract number CTR 0161840 with the S.J. Anderson Company as presented.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Joseph. And now we have 4J. Item information action to approve an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Globe for the distribution of responsibilities pertaining to the renovation of the Michelson Building for the co-works space. And we have Manager Menlove.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Do have Connie with me from the City Globe. This is a IGA for partnership, as has been discussed earlier today. Wanted to review some of the items that was in the agenda item that already gone through the dates, but the sources and uses of revenues, and coming to an IGA of what those sources and uses of revenues are. First of all, the roof replacement cost of $390,609. Freeport Community Investment Fund, $150,000 of that. And specifically for the roof replacement, the county investment, $240,609. For the renovation portion of that, there's a commitment or a proposed commitments of $1.3 million. Congressionally directed spending through the City of Globe, $750,000. Resolution call for economic development support through the City of Globe, $150,000. Resolution Copper Economic Development Support through Gila County, $150,000 as part of the fiscal year 2024-25 budget. Gila County has budgeted $250,000 specifically for the Michelson rehabilitation remodel, and also the City of Globe in their 24-25 budget, they have an appropriation, a line item amount of $150,000. Total of $1,450,000 for completing the remodel and outfitting of the facility with the office equipment and those types of things that are necessary to let that purpose out. The intent is at this point that we've gone through a couple of times that they've tested for asbestos and lead and those kinds of things. There's been remediation done. They're testing again. I understand that there's black mold in the facility. And so as part of this, that there's, at this point is to gut the existing walls and those types of things and completely clear out both floors of the Michelson building. If I could, of what this agreement is, the whereases, if I could take a moment and go through those, that whereas both, third bullet of whereas both Gila County and the City Globe have an interest in strengthening economic development in Gila County, Arizona, and each political subdivision is statutorily enabled to expend public money for economic development purposes. And whereas Gila County owns the building described as the Michelson Building located at 157 South Broad Street in Globe, Arizona. To date, Gila County has spent a significant amount to maintain the habitability of the property, including $390,000 to remodel, repair the roof, and $250,000 for interior demolition to date. Of that amount, Freeport McMoran contributed a grant amount of $150,000. And whereas the property is available to be repurposed for appropriate public use, the City of Globe has been awarded $750,000 by a congressionally directed spending Build Back Better bill appropriation that is specifically designated to fund the joint project to convert the Michelson Building office space into a functional business incubator center for economic development in Gila County. Additionally, the City of Globe anticipates receiving a 25% match of the federal funds from a local mining company intended for use in the development of the multi-user business incubator facility. And now, therefore, in consideration of the mutual promises contained in this IGA and of the mutual benefits to result thereof, the parties agree as follows. And those agreements are several pages of agreements that are included in the IGA. Mr. Chairman, with your approval, if Connie, if you'd like to make any comments.
Yes, welcome, Connie.
Thank you, supervisors. We're just very happy at the City of Globe to be part of this partnership and to bring an incubator space. As you know, with our First Friday project, we're kind of doing an outside incubator space. So now to bring everybody inside and enhance their businesses and give them resources, that would be awesome. And as Supervisor Humphrey, I believe you said that this is an iconic building within our city, and what an awesome place to do that. So we're just thrilled to be part of this, and we thank you very much for being willing to be that partner that brings this incubator space to this whole region, in fact, you know.
Thank you, Connie. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, I think it's a great project, and with all the partners going on and all the work that needs to be done now that we're doing some more demo and then some refurbishing, have we discussed a project manager? I mean, as owners of the building, is there a project manager or management group that can kind of lead the team, so to speak?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Humphrey, it's specifically as part of the USDA grant that they've got, the city's got, that they are required to be essentially the project manager.
And they being City of Globe?
City of Globe. We will be heavily involved, and as part of that 3 pages of conditions, it is that the county, Gila County, and the City of Globe will be, weekly meetings are required to coordinate and to support that. As we've toured the facility, and that it is, comments were made that we do need to have the county heavily involved in the entire process. And it's ensured that we'll have minimum of at least weekly meetings in coordination with the county for the project. But as far as the $750,000, it's required that City of Globe be the project manager.
Okay, and I would hope maybe occasionally updates with the Board of Supervisors.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Humber, we could have them as often as you'd like. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Supervisor Klein.
So I think it's really good to see a building getting put to use and renovated and not being tore down and gonna have a future. So I'm really glad to see this going. The sooner we can get those doors open and get those folks in there, the better off we're all gonna be. So thank you, Connie, for your partnership from City of Globe, and I look forward to it getting finished.
Yes, thank you. I look forward to the partnership as well. So with that, I will call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Globe as presented.
And I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the next step is going to be Joseph and the facilities team are working to get a contract. Hopefully we have a contract within the next few weeks to do the demo, and then we'll be jumping in to do the remodel. So hopefully within the next couple months, we've got the building completely, the interior completely demolished. And so we're planning to move forward quickly with it.
Okay, very exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Look forward to updates. Item 4K is information, discussion, action to approve an economic development agreement number 101-62024 between Gila County and Katie's Closet Incorporated in the amount of $1,000 to provide new clothing to marginalized children grades kindergarten through 12th grade of Gila County, which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public. This is my item that I've helped with in the past, and we do have someone from Katie's Closet. Would you like to say a few words about what, how beneficial this is to the process of what you do?
My name is Bob Horn. I'm the director of Katie's Closet. The board has been very good about supporting us yearly since I've taken over directorship in 2017. Let me give you a sense of what we've done thus far this year. We've assisted 383 children.
Terry.
I have 120 volunteers, which put in 346 volunteer hours. We have purchased and distributed 261 new pair of shoes to children, 344 new pair of underwear to children, 440 pair of new socks to children. We've given out 273 gently used but laundered and working coats, and we've given out another 258 assorted new items, primarily shirts and pants. In addition, we've given out 92 treat bags and some 35 RCLP books to children. Possibly the most telling thing for me this past year in November, I had a child come for shoes, which is our most popular item, new shoes. And I had to move her to the front of the row because she had no shoes on when she came to us. This program has been in existence since 2013 and has reached literally well over 1,000 children, and we continue to assist children in any way that we can. And your $1,000 is very meaningful. I've spent $1,000. I spent $5,000 on shoes alone this year. Okay, in fact, $640 last Friday. So we're very pleased with your support.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that report, and thank you for all that you do. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, thank you very much for all you do, and I think it's a great program. And I would encourage anybody else that's listening to also help you with your quest to help clothe people. So thank you very much.
Supervisor Klein.
Yeah, that's a wonderful project and everything. Joe, I want to throw in another $1,000 on this. Are you going to stop me?
No, if Mr. Christensen will accept an amendment to the amount of the grant, then we can do that, accomplish that by the motion to add $1,000 to the total amount.
The chairman will accept any additions to the original amount.
Yeah, I think when you change it, you ought to change it to 3.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. That's very generous. And so the motion now will reflect that you will receive $1,000 from each supervisor for a total of $3,000. And with that, I will ask for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the Economic Development Agreement number 10162024 with Katie's Closet in the amount of $3,000 as presented, which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public.
Mr. Chair, I will second that.
And we have a motion and a second to approve. And all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Very good. Thank you. That'll be very beneficial. Thank you for coming. All right, our next item, very generous. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. Means a lot. 4L. Also, this is Economic Development Grant. We're going to have information, discussion, action to approve the Economic Development Agreement number 101724 between Gila County and the Payson-Gila County Sheriff's Posse, Incorporated, in the amount of $9,000. And this will be to assist with the annual Shop with a Hero event, which the board is determined to be for the benefit of the public. I will say that the $9,000 also is being shared equally among all 3 supervisors for this event. We have with us Cole Labonte, and it looks like we have Sarah Benny up in Payson. Very good. Go ahead.
Morning, Chairman, Board. A little bit of background on the ask for this. So this program got started by the Sheriff's Office here in Gila County. I want to say about 8 years ago or so. It got brought to us by a deputy. And that deputy went out and got some donations from local businesses. And it helped us fund a few kids. We put out applications, teachers, churches, regular citizens would fill out an application that would come to us, and we would go through the application, try to determine which kids we could accept into the program, and we turned away a lot of kids. So over the years, it's grown, and we're kind of to the point where we can only handle about 30 kids on the north side of the county and 30 kids on the southern end of the county for this program. The reason why that is because it takes so many volunteers and first responders to appropriately handle this program. So as a kid comes in and the approval process, they're approved. We tell their parent when to drop them off, provide them with breakfast that morning. They hop in an ambulance, they hop in a fire truck, they hop in a cop car, and we take them to Walmart. We give them a certain amount of money to spend, and they're able to buy Christmas gifts for their friends, their family, other people in their household. And that is giving a better Christmas to some underprivileged kids and families. So the $9,000 we're asking for, it puts out about $150 per kid to purchase some gifts. Some kids end up with a whole bunch of gifts because they're choosing things that are a little more expensive, and some kids end up with just enough kind of for their immediate family in the home. But what this program does for those underprivileged kids and the rest of the community is really kind of hard to put into words. But if you've ever had a chance to be there, it's really a great program, and we'd love your support to keep it going.
Very good. Sarah, did you have anything to add?
support. And if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, appreciate that. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions, other than, it'd be nice if it's partially sponsored by the Gila County Board of Supervisors put somewhere.
We've got
Because,
room on the flyer.
because
We
I
can have
think,
a
I
look.
think, it- I think it's a great program. And that suggestion, I'm sure you've done a lot of this and have had a lot of suggestions. I also am part of a group that we do, Christmas shopping with children, mainly for clothes. But we found out in the past that we need to take the receipts off, because some of those people that qualify, when the kids get home with the gifts, they are traded back, they're taken back for cash. So we found out a long time ago that although it's a great program and great intentions, we need to take the receipts off so that they can't return the items that we have purchased for cash and use it for their whatever they think is necessary. But I think it's a great program. Anything we can do to help the kids and the less fortunate, I'm behind 100%. Thank you very
I believe
much.
those safeguards are in.
Supervisor Humphrey, they draw a line through the receipt. They also mark the tags of anything that are bought. So anything that's bought during that event cannot be returned for money.
Yeah, it's too bad we live in a world where we got to do that, but it's a great program, and it's great that we keep working through to make it work for what it's supposed to.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Clark.
Cole, I remember when this started, and it has been an awesome program, really good. And so basically, you're topped off about 30 kids, you say?
Yeah, so the amount of people it takes to wrap all the presents in the
Oh,
end
yeah.
is a lot. Like if
Yeah.
you've ever been to it, we take over the whole garden center in
Mhm.
Walmart to have enough people to wrap these presents. And the amount of, we don't have a lot of first responders. We've got enough to do with what we need to do for emergencies in Gila County, but we don't have that many fire trucks, that many ambulances, that many cop cars. And we include every single, the tribal police departments.
Mhm.
We include the municipal police departments, DPS, the fire departments, even the helicopters show up. We can't put the kids in the helicopters, but we have them there just for fun. So really, with the amount of emergency apparatuses we have to put kids into, we're kind of stuck at that 30 number.
So with that being said, you've got enough money to cover, with this 9,000, it keeps you in enough money to cover that amount of kids? You're good?
Yeah, that amount of money gets us those 60 kids.
Okay. All right. Thank you for all you guys are doing, Sarah and Sheriff. It's just an awesome program. It's really good. So thank you all.
It really is. I was at the event last year. It's just incredible. Yeah. So thank you very much for that. And so with that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Economic Development Agreement Number 10172024 with Payson Gila County Sheriff's Posse Incorporated as presented, which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. Thank you, Sheriff, for being here today.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Stay safe out there. We're on item 5, consent agenda items. Item 5A through K. Supervisor Humphrey, any one or more items that you would like to remove to discuss
I don't
separately?
care to remove anything today, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Klein.
I'm good.
Okay, so I will call for a motion to approve consent agenda items 5A through K.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Okay, we are to call to the public, item 6. This is where we allow the public to address the board. The board will not be able to make any decisions regarding this process. And we allow 3 minutes per person that wishes to speak.
You timing it? You timing it?
Okay, Tyler, I don't think anyone's in Payson, correct? How about you, Cassie? No, just as a note, how many did we have today? 40, very good. Anyone, well, we do have 2 here in Globe. And I don't know who wishes to speak first, but we have both Vince and Cindy Hudson. Looks like Cindy's going to come forward. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Supervisors Humphrey, Chairman Christensen, and Supervisor Klein. I'm here to talk again. This is the fourth time we've been here on this topic, which is the Pine Ice Project. Gila County approved the Pine Ice Project, which was basically a detention basin that collects all the water from their property and shoots it onto us through 5 pipes directly onto our property. As a result, 3 of the 4 homes on our property are now flooded with the little bit of rain we've had so far. 5 properties are affected. And we've had a pretty dry monsoon. But we did have one good rain at the beginning, I think it was in June. And with that one good rain, we had 16 inches of water in the basement of one of our homes. Now, Public Works has stated and continues to state that this project was approved because the post-development peak flows are less than the pre-development flows for the 2-year, 10-year, 50-year, and 100-year flood events. We haven't even had a 2-year, and we're already getting flooded in 4 of our 5 homes. Alex Kendrick can testify, or can say, that those 5 properties that are affected never got flooded before. He never had complaints. The property south of us, directly south of us, and the property south of him, with this little bit of rain, were flooded. The antique store, it's kind of like, they're like southeast of us, so they aren't directly south. But if we do something to mitigate the flood, because isn't it our private property right to protect our property from water that's being directed to us? And if that is, if we build a wall, that floods the antique store. So this whole thing needs to be coordinated between all the properties affected. Now, we went to our supervisor, and it was recommended, because like I said, this is the 4th time we've been here. We went to our supervisor, Chairman Christensen, and he said, quote unquote, "I want to fix this problem." Steve, you gave us your word. So we set up a meeting. Well, actually, Supervisor Christensen set up a meeting. In 30 days, we waited the 30 days because he was going elk hunting. I don't know how you did. But in the meantime, when he's gone on vacation, somebody canceled the meeting. So the meetings are now canceled. So no one's talking to us. No one is responding to our emails. No one is responding to our calls. Where's the transparency of government in that picture? It doesn't look pretty. Who's running Gila County? Is it our supervisors? I look at the organizational chart and who's on the top. Well, if one of the people on the top schedules a meeting, then how is it that everybody else can cancel it? That's my timer. I did pretty good, only 3 minutes.
Thank you, Cindy. I may respond, but Vince, did you want to say something? Okay.
Supervisor Christensen, Woody, and Tim, please. Woody, I hope you're doing good with your, that's first foremost. I just got a few things to say to you guys. We move into an area we're not Mormons, and we know that. And we're fighting everything, every step of the way. We got to spend almost 30 grand to put in a septic system when our neighbors got J-Johns. Steve, you promised you would help straighten this out. You said the good old boy system was going to stop. I got your words. Let's all get together and work on this. We're willing to work on it. I want to put the water down the northern side of our property. We got the water meters for the water company. So I talked to the neighbors at the at the Timeless Antiques. They agreed to take the easement. I draft the easement, I get it notarized, I bring it to the county, you guys won't accept it. You guys got an attorney, Jessica, won't return a phone call, won't return an email, but is good at sending registered letters. We need to get this straightened out, and we need to quit fighting with each other. Steve, you gave me your word. I got it on recording. Stand up like a man and do the right thing. Thank you.
All right, so I think I'll respond cautiously. We did have a meeting. It was canceled. I did say that I would like to meet you on your property with staff. That is true. Staff instructed you to apply for the appropriate permits, and that did not seem to be forthcoming. Therefore, the meeting was canceled. I have since been advised, because of the way the process has proceeded with our with the Community Development Department, I've been advised by our legal department not to continue responding, and that's why I have not. In a way, I feel I should be, but I have been advised not to. So I do believe the Hudsons have the resources and ability to solve this issue. There seems to be tension between them and the Community Development Department, which is not creating a smooth course of action to get this resolved. So I would just suggest that you no longer seek for the supervisors to solve this for you, but the very capable Community Development Department to do that. Okay? Supervisor Humphrey, anything you'd like to add? Supervisor Klein.
It's all your show.
Okay. Thank you. That concludes our call to the public. At this time, we will have our reports. Mr. Menlove.
Couple of things, Mr. Chairman. Of course, it's election day today, and as of last Friday, the CSA reported that throughout the state that there, for early voters, there had been 51% of the eligible voters had already voted as of last Thursday. It is election day. I was here in my office till about 8 o'clock last night, and there was a nonstop stream of people that were depositing their ballots into the receptacle right outside my office here. So it's appears to be very heavy. And of course, Gila County voters are typically second in the state as far as percentage, the high volume, second in the state for volume of percent of voters, only bested slightly by Yavapai County. So it appears that we have very heavy voting in the election. And that's good. That's the way our cast our votes. That's the way our political system works, to cast our votes for who we believe is the best candidates. We appreciate all those who have contributed to that. I will make a comment about the Treasurer's Office. I've spoken to her that last Friday tax bills were delinquent as of last Friday, November 1st. The Treasurer is working with those. We did have the errors in Pleasant Valley with the school district assessment and also in the Payson Unified School District area. The Treasurer is working through those as fast as she can and is waiving any late fees or penalties that there might be as far as processing those. Glad to have if you want to go talk to the Treasurer, I'm sure she'd welcome your conversation. But I have spoken to her, and they are working diligently to get all those processes. When somebody pays for their property taxes, and it is an amount greater than what ultimately they should be paying, she's hanging on to those checks, contacting property owners individually, and asking them if they would issue a new check for the corrected amount for their property taxes. In lieu of that, if they don't want to, they want to just have the Treasurer's Office cash those checks, then either the Treasurer is issuing a check in a refund, or just applying their taxes to the second half payments. So she's trying to work with our citizens and get through this difficult circumstance in the greatest ease possible. Unfortunately, we had this challenge, this problem, but we are working through it to try to get that corrected. I will close there, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Manlove. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, I attended a CAG Regional Council meeting on the 30th, Central Arizona Government. I carpooled with Mr. Minlove, Mayor Gamaros, and Paul Jepson. It's nice to kind of carpool with them so we can communicate and not have to schedule a meeting that sometimes we don't have time for. So that's always looked forward to. I was on Kiko open line on the 30th at 9:30. I talked about Tri-City Sanitation Department. You know, them, they've got some board members that are on the ballot that I was in favor of. And speaking of election day and people on the ballot, everybody get out and vote. I think during the primary, we were like 43% of registered voters in Gila County. I'd like it to be 63% if if you're here, there's people making decisions for you. So I think it's important. It's your obligation and your right to vote. And so I would appreciate if people get out and exercise that. I attended a District 2 team project meeting where we meet once a month over projects that we're doing in District 2 and projects that we want to do in District 2. And so it's been pretty good to keep working on those and getting things accomplished. Attended a CSA Blight Roundtable on October the 29th. And, you know, I've been working on blight since I've been here, and there's a lot of properties that people have passed away that we end up with. Nobody responsible for the property, as well as investors who can foreclose on properties and have not. They can leave those properties in limbo for 10 years, and then the process starts all over again. So some of these properties can be neglected for, 10 to 20 years, which I'm really fighting hard. And so we're trying to get other counties involved and see if we can't get the state involved to try to all get together and see what we can do as far as property legislation for the state, to see where they maybe can help us with some of these, of going through probate or something of that nature to help us clean up some of these properties. And other than that, that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Klein.
I don't really have much at all this go around, so it's all yours.
Thanks. I don't either. I just would admonish people to vote today. That would be great. So that'll conclude our reports.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Can I make one more comment?
Yes.
I just want to express appreciation to Eric with as far as the election today, that they were working all weekend in long hours and started at 5 in the morning this morning. Eric and his team. Also, I know IT department was working yesterday late into the night, ensuring that everything would go smoothly for our election. I wanted to express appreciation to all of our many county employees are involved in sponsoring, putting on, and express appreciation to everybody that supports the election. And we run good elections in Gila County.
That we do. And thanks to the recorder's office as well. There's just an awful lot going on. So we want to have the best and most accurate election that we can, and I believe we do. Our next item is an executive session item 8A. It's information, discussion, action to vote to go into executive session pursuant ARS 38-431.03A 3-4 for discussion and consultation for legal advice regarding the application of Arizona Administrative Codes R18-5-408 and R18-9-8, -A309. And I will call for a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
I'll second that.
Motion to approve and seconded to go into executive session. All those in favor say aye.
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 I'm ready.
Okay, I will call this meeting back to order and call for a motion on the executive session item 8.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion for staff to proceed as directed.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve the direction, and all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. Meeting's adjourned.